Chapter 1661, Repaying a Debt of Gratitude. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. The result of the fifth round made the yellow-scaled merman dazed on the spot. His eyes were about to pop out that if he was not witnessing this personally, he would not believe it. He remembered clearly that this was the goo worm carcass that he had put in the fake rock. But why? Why? Why was this goo worm carcass not in his hands, but in his opponent's hands? The yellow-scaled merman could not understand. Is this all an illusion? He was going crazy. His pale face surged with redness that he suddenly pointed at Xiaolin as he screamed in a shrill voice. You cheated. The mermaid girl Xiaolin heard this and became enraged. She was also kept in the dark, not knowing of Fang Yuan's methods. She shouted, You lost fair and square. Are you going to deny that in front of everyone? The yellow-scaled merman looked at Xiaolin and the surrounding goo masters. His gaze became hollow as he muttered, No, this is not real. Everything is fake. This is an illusion. He stumbled back and wanted to run away from this cruel reality. Looking at his pitiful demeanor, the surrounding goo masters had complex expressions. They looked at Xiaolin with trepidation and wariness. The yellow-scaled merman was almost mentally broken by Fang Yuan. Xiaolin pursued. Let's transact. You did not win a single round. This golden jade house is mine. The yellow-scaled merman shuddered like he was shocked with lightning. He screamed in response. No, this is mine. This is my foundation. I will not give it to anyone. Don't even think about it. You can have it over my dead body. Sir, we can force them to go down with us. The scarred merman came up and said with a sinister expression. The yellow-scaled merman shook again that he wanted to do that. But hearing these words, he realized something. No matter who it is, this mermaid girl is just a pawn. The other party could manipulate this situation remotely, setting up a trap against me that I could not deal with. How can I face someone of such a magnitude? If I fight now, wouldn't I be courting death? The yellow-scaled merman did not want to give up his golden jade house, but compared to his life, the latter was more important. The yellow-scaled merman looked around him. Instincts told him that the enemy was among this crowd. He felt suspicious of everyone, but he could not confirm their identity. I admit my loss. I lose. Suddenly, he stopped his methods as he sprawled on the ground like a dying fish, shouting loudly. He prostrated on the ground, admitting, No matter who you are, I admit my defeat. Is that enough? You can do anything with me. But before that, may you please enlighten me. When did I offend you? Everyone went into a clamor. The yellow-scaled merman's actions were unexpected. Some people snorted in disdain. Some felt that he was able to put down his pride and was quite a formidable person. An unscrupulous merchant that had been in power for decades was naturally not so simple. Xiaolin was also dazed. At the same time, she felt deep admiration towards Master Chu. She understood clearly that this was all due to Master Chu. Without his guidance, Xiaolin would be in even deeper trouble than the yellow-scaled merman. But looking at the prostrating yellow-scaled merman, Xiaolin felt joyful and also relieved. It is time. Fang Yuan smiled, guiding Xiaolin. Xiaolin spoke to the yellow-scaled merman. Do you know why you lost? Seeing her speak, the crowd went silent. The yellow-scaled merman raised his head, looking at Xiaolin. I do not know. Please enlighten me. Because someone wanted you to lose. Xiaolin stated an obvious fact. The yellow-scaled merman's heart jumped. He lowered his head. I understand. I understand. Xiaolin added, Do you want this golden jade house back? What? The yellow-scaled merman was stunned. What did she mean? Of course he wanted it back, but he did not know about the other party. What did they mean by that? Were they toying with him or had ulterior motives? Xiaolin continued, I have a condition before I return it to you. The yellow-scaled merman started to kowtow. Revered lady, please tell me. Xiaolin looked at the yellow-scaled merman as she said slowly. The reason why you ended up like this was because of just desserts. You committed too many sins. From now on, you have to commit acts of kindness, do good deeds, and turn over a new leaf. I will let you off and return this golden jade house. But remember, if you return to your old ways, we will take not just this golden jade house next time. Once she said that, all the goo masters showed perplexed expressions. After so much talk, Xiaolin and her backer actually had such intentions? They were promoting kindness? This was not a common thing. The yellow-scaled merman was also surprised, but he did not dare to show anything on the surface. He quickly thanked her profusely. I will change. I will definitely turn over a new leaf. Revered lady, you are the benefactor of my life. You changed my ways. You are like a saintess guiding people towards kindness and away from evil. I was wrong. I was really wrong. Thank you, saintess, for giving me this chance. From now on, I will be a good person and dedicate my life to doing good deeds. The yellow-scaled merman lowered his head and apologized sincerely. He was like a pitiful child. Xia Lin's face flushed. I am not the saintess. I have no qualification to be one. Don't spout nonsense. Remember your promise. We will be watching you. If we find out or anyone reports you in the future, you will regret it. Saying so, Xia Lin turned around and left. The surrounding Gu masters left a path for her. Xia Lin had just left the Golden Jade House when she suddenly vanished without a trace. The next moment, she appeared at the edge of the island through Fang Yuan's teleportation. It's safe here. You can go back now. Fang Yuan did not show up. He only transmitted his voice. Master Chu, you saved me again. How can I repay you? Xia Lin called out in her mind. Master Chu? Master Chu. We will meet again if we are fated to. Fang Yuan said as he smiled. Memories emerging in his mind again. On the beach, Fang Yuan chased after Xiahan Mo and the rest who were leaving. Please wait. Xiahan Mo and the rest stopped walking, while the two guards stared at Fang Yuan in annoyance. Lad, stop following us. If you want to repay the debt of gratitude, you should get away from us. Do you know that Saintess could have stayed hidden this time? But to save you, she showed up. Now, we failed to find any evidence, and even made the other party alert. I know. Fang Yuan was panting. You know nothing. The blue-scaled guard rolled his eyes. Fang Yuan chuckled, raising his head and looking at Xiahan Mo and the guards. I was too rash, but after that, I understand now. You are the Merman Imperial Court's current generation Saintess. You came here to find evidence of Frost Tide Tribe's corruption. I can help you in this matter. Because I operated gambling dens before, I know about their workings. The main avenue for this Frost Tide Tribe's money laundering has to be that gambling den earlier. Please give me a chance, Saintess. Let me repay the debt of saving my life. Both guards hesitated. They looked at Xiahan Mo. Xiahan Mo's thick eyelashes drooped down before she opened her eyes and looked at Fang Yuan with a crystal-clear gaze. After 3 breaths of time, she nodded. Then I will thank you in advance, human Gu Master. What is your name? My name is Guyu Fang Yuan. You can call me Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan laughed heartily. Chapter 1662. Competition for Saintess. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios' time passed quickly. More than 20 days passed again. Before the merit obelisk, Fang Yuan looked at the rankings with his arms behind his back. His position had fallen to 5th already. Initially, he was at the front, but changes started to occur. GU Immortals realized that as long as they looked into this merit obelisk, they would be able to find many options. These options had price tags. One could use their accumulated merits to exchange for them. Immortal materials, immortal goo recipes, immortal killer moves, and even immortal goo house. They were all available. With the merits that Miao Ming Shun and the rest had, they could only exchange for the stuff at the bottom of the list. Those expensive options were like carrots dangling above the donkey. They made these Gu Immortals very proactive. Competition was getting more intense. Fang Yuan's focus was not that. His only goal was Regret Gu. Regret Gu was very important to Fang Yuan. Even though the items in the merit obelisk were very valuable, they were merely icing on the cake for Fang Yuan. Regret Gu could help Fang Yuan gain a qualitative change, but among these rewards, there was neither Regret Gu nor the exchange of merit obelisk itself. This meant that the rewards listed were not fully comprehensive. Regret Gu was not part of the rewards, but that did not mean that Regret Gu was not inside this paradise. Fang Yuan did not waste his time. He looked for clues and chose specific missions. After using wisdom path methods to deduce, many of his suspicions were lifted. Eventually, his focus was completely on demon suppression Regret Crying Sea. There were many rumors regarding this sea area. Through Fang Yuan's deductions, there was a high possibility of Regret Gu being in there. However, even though Fang Yuan knew the location, he could not get close. The mission of punishing the unscrupulous merchant 20 days ago was the closest Fang Yuan had ever gotten to demon suppression regret, crying sea. But he had tried. After just 30 li away from the island, he could not move closer. How can I get into demon suppression regret, crying sea? This was a problem that gave Fang Yuan a headache. Paradise Earth's arrangements were too powerful. Fang Yuan could not act freely. His space path attainment was also not impressive. He had tried to use fixed immortal travel earlier, but it could not activate, even with an immortal killer move that Fang Yuan thought of. This meant that once Fang Yuan left the paradise, fixed immortal travel would not allow him to re-enter again. As for these people, Fang Yuan looked at the names of the Gu immortals on the merit board. He squinted. He wanted to keep these people around. On one hand, killing the Gu immortals in this paradise was risky. On the other hand, these Gu immortals were now earning merits and getting rewards. They were like livestock getting fattened. Fang Yuan could slaughter them when everyone went out. It would give him much greater benefits. Thus, not only did Fang Yuan not harm them, he even helped them with more detailed information. Miao Mingshun and the rest were competing more intensely. Especially since mission rewards were observable and limited, everyone could exchange for them. Once someone got something, others could not. Thus, even though they did not try to kill each other, they schemed and purposely gave out false information in increasing frequency. In this situation, the honest and truthful Chu Ying was like an outlier. He became very prominent. Even though Miao Mingshun and the rest did not say anything, they became increasingly friendlier towards Fang Yuan. A change occurred 3 days later. A new mission appeared on the merit obelisk. Head to the sacred city of the mermen, attend the sea god ceremony, and defend the city from the assault of sea beasts. Once this mission appeared, Fang Yuan selected it. The chance I have been waiting for is finally here. Fang Yuan was very excited. The sea god ceremony was unique to the mermen. In this ceremony, males and females would gather and form new families. They would also elect the new saintess. The saintess had an incredibly high status in merman society, and Fang Yuan had already gotten crucial information. In this paradise, the saintess had an incredible role. Every time a new saintess was elected, their main mission would be to enter demon suppression regret crying sea, using their singing to soothe the killing intent of the demon and stabilize the sea area. This merit obelisk's missions are meant to benefit the humans and mermen, bringing prosperity to the people and punishing evil while promoting kindness. After the saintess is elected, she would have to enter demon suppression regret crying sea. By then, a relevant mission might appear. But no matter what, I need to accept this mission and meet the saintess in advance. After so long, the sea god ceremony is finally here. Xia Lin pushed open the window of her room. The noise of the crowd outside could be heard. Her room was on the second floor. Xia Lin looked down and saw people moving in the streets while closely packed together. All sorts of flags were waving. There were temporary shops selling goo, snacks, and even gambling dens. All of the businesses were doing well. Xia Lin's mood was quickly affected. She became quite happy. Splat. Suddenly, with a soft sound, a pearl landed on Xia Lin's window frame. Xia Lin was dazed before she flushed rapidly. Pearls had a special significance in the sea god ceremony. It meant a proposal. If someone tossed Xia Lin a pearl, it meant that they liked her and wanted to marry her. Who is it? Xia Lin did not dare to pick up the pearl because that action had deep meaning behind it. She looked down and saw that dozens of men were looking in her direction, tossing the pearls in their hands. Sui. Sui. I love you. Accept my love, Sui. The men tossed their pearls while shouting, Hey, miss. Someone called out to Xia Lin. Xia Lin turned her gaze towards a young man on the street. He was a merman in tattered clothes. He was clearly poor. The merman youngster flushed as he said, Miss, I tossed that pearl to you. I had too little strength. I can't throw it high enough. Can you please toss it back to me? Xia Lin instantly understood. This youngster wanted to toss his pearl to Sui, but had too little strength. It ended up going to Xia Lin instead. Lady Sui is truly a famous beauty. Her charm is too great, be it young boys or mature men. They are all in love with her. Xia Lin breathed out slowly. Next, waves splashed as the pearl was lifted from the ground, going into the youngster's hands. Thank you. Thank you. The youngster was overjoyed. He tossed the pearl with all his strength. The pearl got higher and higher. It was in the right direction now. But Su-yi frowned as she closed her window. The youngster's pearl landed on the window and fell down. Over a dozen pearls suffered the same fate. But these pearls were different. They were huge and shiny. They were not common on the street. The men did not disperse after this. They got even more excited. More and more people came to Su-yi's area and wanted to see her beautiful face. Some still had hope and wanted to toss their pearls. After all, what if they got lucky? A bunch of commoners with nothing better to do. Su-yi frowned. A pink cloud cushioned her tail as she floated downstairs. She had incredible beauty and arrogance on her face. But the most attractive part were her snow-white scales. Merman scales varied in different colors. White scales were extremely rare. It was considered the purest color and was extremely idolized in the merman society. Two mermaid nannies followed after her as they muttered, "These fellows should look at themselves in the mirror. They want to be Lady Su-yi's husband? Simply laughable. Our Lady Su-yi is a contestant for the saintess position. She would not accept any man's pearl." The merman saintess was pure and flawless. Once she obtains the position, she would not be able to marry for life. She had to keep her virginity. One Xiaolin walked out of her room, lowering her head. "Sister Su-yi." "Little Sister Xiaolin." Su-yi showed a faint smile, hiding the arrogance deeply as she spoke. "How was your rest? Have you thought it through? Thank you for the hospitality. Right now, all the inns are fully booked. Without you, I would not have had a place to rest." Xiaolin immediately thanked that a mermaid nanny smiled. "It was fate that you met with our Missy. In this vast sea, the meeting of two mermen is not easy. You two are fated to meet. I will say this bluntly, ordinary mermaids would die to be acquainted with our Missy." Su-yi was not just a white-scaled mermaid. She had a high status and was the doted daughter of a strong tribe leader. Nanny Rong, "What are you saying? I met with Xiaolin because we liked each other." "Xiaolin, don't have any worries. Go ahead if you have any busy matters. If you follow me to this sea god ceremony, the risks are high." Su-yi walked towards Xiaolin as she held her hand, saying sincerely. Xiaolin was moved. "Sister Su-yi, you have helped me too much. Since you want to become the saintess, I will definitely support you. But I am afraid that I am too weak. There are only 4 follower quotas after all." Su-yi's eyes shined brightly. She held Xiaolin's hands as she said excitedly, "Xiaolin, thank you. With your help, I will have a higher chance of becoming the saintess." Xiaolin had low cultivation level. She was only rank 2, but she had a rank 5 goo worm. Gather oil goo, a top-tier rank 5 goo. Of course, this goo worm had no offensive might. But Su-yi had already found out about the details of the saintess test. The gather oil goo would be very helpful in one of the rounds. Chapter 1663. Fang Yuan, you are a good person. Fang Yuan walked in the merman's sacred city. He did not disguise himself. He was in Chu Ying's appearance. But his aura was completely concealed. He was like a mortal on the street. People moved about fluidly. Those who brushed past Fang Yuan would never imagine that a rank 8 Gu immortal was walking so closely beside them on the 2 sides of the street. There were shops and houses arranged in an orderly scale-like manner. The houses of mermen had their unique style. Most had seashell or conch designs. Most were huge seashells and conchs, or modified shells of giant crabs and turtles. There were also few Gu houses that were a symbol of wealth and authority. They had great defensive properties. Other than personal estates, Gu houses used as shops were also booming with business. As he walked, the people walking in front of Fang Yuan started to move away. They were cheering loudly. Walking closer to take a look, Fang Yuan saw that a mermaid was receiving a jade pearl from a male Gu master with teary eyes. This pearl was quite rare. It was like glowing jade and had the shape of an eyeball. This was not something valuable in the eyes of experts. As for Fang Yuan, it was a mortal material that he had no use for. But it was owned by the rank 2 male Gu master. It was not easy for him to obtain this rank 4 Gu material jade eye pearl. The mermaid might have noticed his feelings. She received the jade eye pearl in public as it signified her acceptance of his love. Next, the mermaid placed the pearl into her mouth. Everyone started to cheer and shout. The couple started to blush and turn red. This action was not so simple. It meant she had accepted the young Gu master's proposal. This paradise does not discriminate between races. Merman and human can freely fall in love and have children without obstruction. But in the 5 regions, It was forbidden for merman and human to get together. Not only would they be discouraged, their children would also be ostracized by both sides or even killed. Fang Yuan had an eerie gaze. The sea god ceremony was around the corner. The entire sacred city was oozing with a joyful and festive atmosphere. This couple was not the first that Fang Yuan saw. They might be very simple and insignificant figures in the sacred city, but being ordinary did not mean one could not be blissful. This beautiful moment would become a cherished memory etched in their minds. The memories of the 500 years of his previous life started to surface again. That a group of mermen were looking at Xiahan Mo, Fang Yuan, and the rest with an imposing aura. I am investigator Wu-Da. There have been many reports by different clansmen that our current generation saintess Xiahan Mo has an affair with the human Gu master Gu Fang Yuan. I am here to investigate it. The leader was a jade-scaled merman who spoke in an icy tone. What? I dare you to say that again. The two guards behind Xiahan Mo were furious. They wanted to attack in anger. Xiahan Mo had a calm expression, while Fang Yuan had a dark expression as he clenched his fists. He helped Xiahan Mo investigate the gambling den. They found a lot of corruption evidence. The saintess mission had a qualitative breakthrough. But the other party was not going to wait for the end. They schemed and spread vicious rumors, saying that the saintess was impure and had an affair with a human Gu master. These rumors had no evidence and were merely made up. Xiahan Mo and Fang Yuan did not care about them. But to think that the investigator from the Merman Sacred Court would actually come, mobilizing the investigator without any evidence. I am afraid that Frost Tide tribe leader was not the only corrupted person. There is a higher-up involved here. Fang Yuan transmitted to Xiahan Mo. Xiahan Mo frowned. With slight hesitation, she spoke. I am the saintess. You are a mere investigator. Do you have the Elder Assembly's token? The jade-scaled merman smiled, taking out an information path Gu worm. Xiahan Mo was calm. Just this? The jade-scaled merman smiled again. This cannot allow me to investigate the saintess, but Fang Yuan is different. He is a human Gu master. Forget about the token. I can investigate him even without one. Even though Fang Yuan was a human and humans were the rulers of the 5 regions, Eastern Sea's Merman Sacred Court was a superforce. Fang Yuan had no background himself. The jade-scaled merman was not lying. Too vicious. I cannot believe that Frost Tide tribe's leader is such a person. He is afraid. He knows how amazing Fang Yuan is. He is afraid that we will find out more evidence as time passes. The two guards stood in front of Fang Yuan. After this period of time, they had already acknowledged Fang Yuan. Wait, if both sides clash, that will be what the enemy wants to see. We will not be able to explain ourselves. I will go with them. We have a lot of progress in the gambling den. Even without me, you can still win if you continue on that trail. Fang Yuan transmitted. No way. Fang Yuan, you are too naive. If you end up in their hands, you will live a fate worse than death. The two guards shook their heads. Fang Yuan smiled. What is there to fear? I will die at worst. You saved my life before. In that case, I will repay it now. Do not look down on their schemes. This was targeted at me on the surface, but the true goal is saintess. Once her reputation is hit and rumors spread, her status might be affected. Sacrificing me is a small issue, but we must defend saintess' position. Without this, how can you investigate and punish those corrupted people? When the two guards hesitated, Xiahan Mo was still composed. She said to the jade-scaled merman, Go back. I will not hand him to you. The jade-scaled merman was slightly stunned before he laughed. Saintess, you want to defend this human Gu master? Even at the cost of conflicting with us investigators. Xiahan Mo nodded. Go back. The jade-scaled merman looked at Fang Yuan before turning to Xiahan Mo. He showed a smile, as if his scheme succeeded. Good. We are not saintess match. We can only return in defeat. Ha ha. Saying so, he waved his hand and left with the merman. Saintess, why did you do that? Fang Yuan was anxious. Like this, you. For the first time, Xiahan Mo interrupted him. Fang Yuan, you are a good person. You are not afraid of death, other than courage. The biggest reason is that life is boring, right? You seem to be disappointed in this world and in your own life. There is deep fatigue hidden in your eyes. But undeniably, you are a good person. Xiaohanemo said softly. One Fang Yuan. Xiaohanemo continued. And I am also a good person. How can a good person sacrifice another good person? Saying so, she winked at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was a little dazed. This was the first time he had seen such lively expressions from Xiaohanemo. She was quite cute and cheeky. Then, what about the rumors? Indeed, that damned investigator is going to make up stories when he returns. The two guards were very worried. Xiaohanmo's expression went back to normal. She said aloofly, then let them. Several days later, the sea god ceremony started. The male mermen wore their shell armors. They carried long spears, javelins, and blades. According to traditions, these shells and weapons were made by them personally using locally sourced materials. The female mermen, the mermaids, wore seaweed strips of various colors on them. Pink seaweed strips were used by young unmarried girls. Widows wore black seaweed strips, while noble ladies wore gold, silver, and crystal-colored ones. Ordinary mermaids wore brown, dark blue, and gray seaweed strips. This was the traditional costume of the mermen. It was quite unique. Long, long ago, before mermen learned how to use goo worms, they lived a primitive lifestyle. Males hunted while females foraged at the center of sacred city. People gathered, singing and dancing that a large number of merman warriors were waving their spears. Their armors clashed and created loud sounds. The mermaids' seaweed strips were like rainbow ribbons fluttering in the water. They waved in sync with the singing, experiencing no tiredness. This moment was reserved for the mermen. All the human goo masters were watching outside. The singing and dancing lasted for hours. Mermen, male and female alike, continued to walk out of the area with shattered armors or fatigued bodies. Gradually, several mermaid girls emerged. They were the contestants for this year's Saintess competition. But what surprised Fang Yuan was that out of the 9 competitors, not all of them had white scales. It seemed like in this paradise, it was not only white-scaled mermaids who could vie for the Saintess position. Mermaids with different scale colors could also compete. And among everyone, Mermaid Su-E was the most dazzling one. Chapter 1664, Saintess Test. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. During the sea god ceremony, Sacred City was flooded with people. The surrounding spectators were clamoring loudly. Fang Yuan was in this crowd. He observed the prospective saintesses with an eerie gaze. His plan was to choose one of them and assist her in becoming the saintess. They are assisting her to become the saintess? That's right. Frost Tide tribe leader invested a lot into this to help Lady Qiushuang. Xiaohanmo's 2 blue-scaled and red-scaled guards looked at each other after hearing this. Feeling each other's worried eye in the hall, Fang Yuan sat at one side. He gritted his teeth as his expression turned unsightly. Earlier, Xiaohanmo rejected the investigator and protected Fang Yuan. This escalated the rumors, eventually. The Merman Sacred Court decided to hold the sea god ceremony again to decide on the saintess once more. This is a scheme. They made use of your kindness and knew you would not abandon me. Thus, this situation arose. Fang Yuan sighed deeply, feeling like he had implicated Xiaohanmo. Xiaohanmo glanced at him, smiling. Fang Yuan, no need to feel responsible. If we abandoned you earlier, they would spread rumors that I am old and callous. It would still affect my reputation. Saintess, no need to console me at this point. Fang Yuan smiled bitterly. The effect and severity of both cases are vastly different. We have already worked together for so long. How would I not know? Xiaohanmo smiled. All right, forget about this. It does not help the situation. Fang Yuan and both guards quickly adjusted their mindsets as their expressions changed. Xiaohanmo added, the saintess position is not easy to hold on to. The moment I started to investigate the corruption, someone tried to drag me down. This means that the issue of corruption among the Sacred Court's elders has gotten very severe. Don't be too pessimistic. Even though a new sea god ceremony is held, I have not lost my qualifications, right? It is not so easy to nurture a new saintess. Places with people will have competition for benefits. This saying was appropriate for the mermen as well. Mermen also had schemes and conflict of interests. The saintess had high status. If the forces in the merman tribe can nurture their own saintess for the following period of time, they would have some political advantage and would be able to gain more benefits. Normally speaking, mermaid girls who could compete for the saintess position had deep backgrounds or were backed by 1 or 2 large forces. In the underwater sacred city, the singing gradually stopped, as intense sounds of drumming could be heard in the square. Only a few mermaid girls were left. They danced without showing fatigue. They were extremely determined to become the saintess. Fang Yuan stood outside the square, looking in. These 7 mermaid girls were all beautiful. Some were enchanting, some were youthful, some were cute, and some were elegant. There was a huge spirit spring at the center of the square. It was called the Sea God Spring. Water sprayed upwards and carried an elderly mermaid granny. She was the grand elder of this merman tribe. The grand elder looked at the 7 mermaid girls as she nodded, saying, "The first round of the saintess test, golden needle in black oil." Saying so, more than 10 strength path gu masters carried huge vats into the square. Thud, thud, thud. After placing down the vats with loud sounds, each of the mermaid girls had one in front of them. The vats were larger than their bodies by several times. They could only see the inside after floating upwards. The vats were filled with thick black oil. The first test was to find a tiny golden needle in the designated time. I request for my follower to take my stage. The white-scaled mermaid Su-E looked at the huge water vat, as she said calmly, "Approved." The Grand Elder looked at Su-E deeply. "Don't be nervous, don't be nervous." Xia Lin encouraged herself continuously as she walked into the square while feeling uneasy. "What's going on? The great lady Su-E has a rank 2 gu master as her follower? Calm down. Su-Yi's decision means that this mermaid is more than she seems." Everyone talked among themselves. "It's her?" Fang Yuan saw Xia Lin and his brows rose. He did not expect this girl to become the follower of the most favored saintess candidate. "Gather oil goo." Xia Lin floated to the water vat and used this rank 5 goo worm. Instantly, the black oil in the vat started to move. It was drawn out by Xia Lin and gathered in her hands. The crowd went into a commotion. The aura of a rank 5 goo. She is clearly a rank 2 goo master, but she can use rank 5 goo? Did I see wrongly? I understand. This must be the rank 5 gather oil goo that has been the hot topic recently. So this mermaid has such a quality goo worm. No wonder Su-E allowed her to become her follower. Gather oil goo's effect was no joke. After a while, the vat became empty. Only a golden needle was left sparkling at the bottom of the vat. The crowd was roused. Countless heated gazes landed on Xia Lin. Xia Lin was even more nervous now. She flushed red and showed a cute expression of not knowing what to do. Su-E looked at her and smiled, thinking, "I was right to recruit her into my group." In the first test, Su-E relied on Xia Lin's stellar performance to gain a huge boost in reputation. Fang Yuan's eyes were dark like the abyss. Looking at the crowd leaving, he thought, 6 out of 7 passed the first test. They came prepared for this. Evidently, the test content was leaked prior to this. Pale green flames burned in front of Xia Mo, forming a path of flames. Qiu Shuang, who was also a white-scaled mermaid, walked in calmly, standing at the other end of the flame road as she looked at Xia Mo mockingly. "Former saintess, your turn." "Damn it. This eerie fire burns the soul. Special goo worms are needed to resist it." We were already amply prepared, but to think that this first test would be so specific. And the worst thing is, Qiu Shuang came prepared with the proper goo worms. She can resist the eerie fire. Is this luck? Humph. She clearly knows the test content. This is Frost Tide Tribe's scheme. They are colluding and cheating openly. Both guards were very angry. "Let me." Fang Yuan walked towards the frowning Xia Mo. Xia Mo looked at Fang Yuan with crystal clear eyes. "Trust me, I am confident in this." Fang Yuan's eyes flashed with bright light. Looking at Xia Mo directly, the two looked at each other for a moment, before Xia Mo turned away. "Be careful. This eerie fire is not simple. If you cannot endure it, you can just step down," Xia Mo said. Fang Yuan laughed heartily, turning around and taking huge strides into the eerie fire. Pain. An intense pain originating from his soul assaulted Fang Yuan's entire body in an instant. Fang Yuan shuddered as he walked with great difficulty. He gritted his teeth until they bled. His eyes were wide opened. They were also tearing apart. His soul was burned by the flame as it melted. Thankfully, he had 2 lifetimes accumulation and was an otherworldly demon. The eerie fire was less effective on him than on others. He would not give up midway. because he knew that by taking Xiahan Mo's place, if he failed, Xiahan Mo would fail too. When he finally walked through the eerie fire road, everyone went wild. Countless shocked gazes gathered on him. Many mermen were moved. Fang Yuan tried to smile, but at the next moment, he fainted. But right when he was about to land on the ground, Xiahan Mo arrived and held him in her arms. "Don't worry, I will not waste your effort." Xiahan Mo looked at Fang Yuan deeply before turning to look at Xiao Shuang. For the first time, her gentle eyes revealed a cold and sharp light. Thanks to Fang Yuan's desperate attempt, Xiahan Mo passed the difficult trap set specially for her. The second, third, and fourth test, she performed perfectly. The other competitors soon fell short. Eventually, only mermaid Xiao Shuang was left. It seems that Lady Xiahan Mo will very likely retain her position as saintess. Outside the square, Fang Yuan was still pale as he sat down weakly, expressing joy on his face. "It was all thanks to you, Fang Yuan. Without your performance in the first round, we would not have gotten this far." "Ha ha ha, you got past the flame road." It was shocking to everyone. A few days later, you woke up. Do you know that news of your survival shocked countless mermen in the sacred city? Both guards laughed loudly. Fang Yuan stopped his joyful expression as she said, "Be careful. The situation is in our favor. The other party will not stand by." Fang Yuan had expected Frost Tide tribe leader to act, but he did not expect that it would be so vicious. "I in the house." The red-scaled guard knelt on the ground. His face was red. "Saintess, please let me battle. I need to clear up the accusation and humiliation that they have dealt to me. How could I possibly bully a widow?" Xiahan Mo sighed. "Get up. I know you well. But this is clearly the enemy's plot. If you charge out like this, their schemes will succeed." The blue-scaled guard was worried. "This is not an ordinary widow. She is Bu Su Lian, the wife of the former third elder of the sacred court. They are simply too vicious. The investigator will come soon to arrest him for trial. In that case, he would not be able to join the test. Our strength will fall greatly." Fang Yuan added, "This wife of the former third elder of the sacred court was willing to sacrifice her reputation to accuse him. She must have a close relationship with Frost Tide tribe leader. This corruption is extremely severe. Otherwise, she would not have to act personally. Since they set this trap, they must be amply prepared. If we try to clear up the situation, we would fall into their scheme. We can only play along with this and find a way out." "How do we do that?" "Very simple. I will take the blame," Fang Yuan said plainly. Both guards stared with wide-opened eyes as they stared at Fang Yuan. "No way." Xiahan Mo rejected this instantly. Chapter 1665, The Story of the Sea God and Mermaid. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Even though Xiahan Mo understood that if Fang Yuan took the blame, the situation would be resolved, she still rejected him without hesitation. But this way, Xiahan Mo and the rest would be in a passive spot. The turning point happened 3 days later. Xiahan Mo received some information. Xiahan Mo looked at the information as she became stunned before sighing. Xiao Shuang is no longer pure. She gave the intel to her guards and Fang Yuan to see. After looking at it, their expressions changed. Xiao Shuang was the saintess candidate that Frost Tide tribe leader supported. She was extremely popular during this sea god ceremony. She was the most likely person to take the position of saintess from Xiahan Mo, but to think that she had lost her virginity. Only mermaids who were virgins could compete for the saintess position. This was the first condition. The red-scaled guard was extremely happy. Great. To think that this Xiao Shuang is not a virgin. With this information, they are history. The blue-scaled guard was very calm. The sea god ceremony is the most important ceremony of our tribe. It has always been inspected strictly. How did Xiao Shuang get through the inspection? Unless our tribe's corruption has already extended to the priest, then the situation is too severe. Fang Yuan frowned. "We need to remember something. If we announce this now, everyone might think that we are trying to protect Red Scale, and this is just our accusation. How reliable is the information? If this is part of their plan, we would be in trouble." One Xiahan Mo shook her head. "This is definitely reliable. Xiao Shuang is supported by Frost Tide tribe's leader. We are supported by the Grand Elder. This was given to me by her. Even though we do not have evidence, I believe that as long as we inspect Xiao Shuang's background, We would be able to find out if she is a virgin by asking another priest. Fang Yuan understood now that Xiahan Mo was able to become the saintess because she was supported by the Grand Elder of the Merman Sacred Court. Among all the higher-ups, Grand Elder was the fairest and most lenient one. She had great authority. But because she was too lenient, everyone became corrupted. Her support towards Xiahan Mo was also an attempt to correct her mistakes. Everything that followed went as Xiahan Mo predicted. After Qiu Shuang was reported, she was investigated upon and her story was exposed. She had really lost her virginity. This information was too shocking. The Merman Sacred Court could not keep it secret. As news spread, the entire sacred city was in a commotion. Countless Gu masters gasped. This is likely the biggest scandal in our Merman Sacred Court for the last 1,000 years. Qiu Shuang was truly disrespectful. Such a desecration towards the sea god. She has to be punished. Killing her will not soothe our rage. Anger was not just in the commoners. The higher-ups of the Merman Sacred Court were furious too. The punishment towards Qiu Shuang was rapidly decided that a few days later, Qiu Shuang's head fell off her head and onto the ground. She died. Bam! A high-quality cup was smashed onto the ground by Frost-Tide Tribe's leader. It broke into pieces. Xiahan Mo, you were too much. Frost-Tide Tribe's leader growled. His eyes were bloodshot. I told you long ago to control yourself when drinking. After Qiu Shuang's matter, as the person who supported her, the higher-ups will no longer give you their attention. In the room, there was a mermaid noble lady. She drank tea slowly. She showed no fear towards the angry Frost-Tide Tribe leader. Frost-Tide Tribe leader gritted his teeth. He said to the mermaid noble lady, Bu Su Lian, I do not need your reminder. Our allies will not turn on us after just this small issue. If Xiahan Mo retains her saintess position, they will also suffer and die. So even if they hate me, even if they do not want to see me, they will have to force themselves to work with me. Bu Su Lian said plainly. You are right, but now that Qiu Shuang is dead, how will you defeat Xiahan Mo? Our best pawn has already been destroyed. No. Frost-Tide Tribe leader laughed sinisterly. You can rest assured, I still have methods left. Oh, I am listening. Bu Su Lian sat up straight. Frost-Tide Tribe leader kept it a secret. You will know in a few days. A few days later, on the square of Sacred City, Mermaid Dong Lei said under everyone's watchful eyes, I am willing to take Qiu Shuang's place and continue with the sea god ceremony. Who is Dong Lei? She was one of Qiu Shuang's followers. To think that Frost-Tide Tribe's leader had this pawn prepared. According to our tribe rules, sisters can take each other's place. Dong Lei can totally replace Qiu Shuang and attend the sea god ceremony to contest for the saintess position. Everyone discussed. The origin of the sea god ceremony was a legendary story among the mermen. In the story, the first batch of mermen lived in Eastern Sea. They created a small fishing village. One day, a huge sea beast attacked the island. It created a tsunami around the island. The fishing village was almost about to be destroyed. To save the villagers in the fishing village, Mermaid Qing knelt at the cliff and prayed to the sea god. The sea god heard her prayer and said, Oh Qing, I love to hear beautiful singing. If you can sing 3 satisfactory songs for me, I will chase the sea beast away and calm the sea, defending the fishing village. Qing was overjoyed. She quickly agreed. She started to sing the first song by the cliff. It was enchanting. After she finished, the sea god savored the melody as he calmed the sea. Qing sang the second song. Her beautiful voice mesmerized the sea god. Seaweed danced to her singing. Prawns and fish gathered by her side. As they listened, Qing wanted to sing the third song, but at that point, she no longer had any strength. After singing for 2 days and 2 nights, she was too tired. After returning home, she called her sister Aya and told her everything before dying from exhaustion. Aya was very upset, but she listened to her sister Qing's wish. She came to the cliff and said to the sea god, "O sea god, I will take my sister's place and sing the third song for you." Sea god said, "Go ahead." Aya started to sing. Her voice was filled with agony and misery, but also firm determination. After she finished, the sea god was pleased and the sea beast left. The fishing village was safe once again. When choosing the saintess, mermen would set up many tests during the sea god ceremony. These tests had varying contents, but the final round would always be the same. Since the start of the ceremony's history, that was a singing competition among mermaids. They would get on the stage and sing on the specially made altar-like goo house. Everyone would get to sing 3 times from the results. They would choose the soul saintess. All the tests before this were just elimination rounds that if during the sea god ceremony, all of the contestants got eliminated, then the saintess position would remain empty.